So as you guys know, the way I work is I try and get a really nice flash frame, and then I try and blend over on top of the flash frame an ambient frame, but on luminosity mode. But I know, as you guys have experienced, or you guys have even seen in the videos, a lot of times when you brush in these ambient frames on luminosity, the color from the shadows from these flash frames will come through, and you'll have to fix that. So one of the things you can do if you don't want to deal with fixing the colors within the shadows when you pull it in on luminosity is you can just pull the ambient in on normal mode and then just brush it right in. I'm going to go ahead and pull both of these into Photoshop and use luminosity mode just so you're really clear on the problems I'm talking about that you might be having. Okay, so we're in Photoshop now and we got our ambient on top of our flash frame. I'm going to go ahead and change this to luminosity. And as you guys can see already, I'm going to mask this. And when I brush that in, as you know, these areas that were in shadow in my flash frames, they tend to at least appear like they're shifting in color. They're not actually shifting in color, but they appear that way. But as you can see up there, there's some weird red shifting. What that is it's the warm light getting into that shadow area, and so it's making that area a little bit warmer or a little bit more red than the surrounding area, which got hit with flash, and that's why that's a cleaner color and that's a more of a red color. Okay, that's what causes that. So as you guys have seen, it's really easy to fix this. You can just sample out here and grab a color layer and sample out there and just brush that away. But it might be more difficult than this in a lot of instances. So that's why I want to show you how powerful this normal blending mode can be. So I'm going to go ahead and show you two ways to do this. The first way is just going to be I'm going to go ahead and change this layer back to normal. So we change the ambient layer back to normal. It's not luminosity anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and brush this ceiling in because, like you saw, I was having trouble with some of the shadows up there. I'm going to go ahead and brush this in. And as you can see, at least to my eye, that's coming in quite warm, at least relative to the rest of the photo. So one of the things that you can do is, first of all, we're going to go through this, but you can take care of all this in the raw editor and pull it in. And I think that's the best way. But if you're crunched on time, this is the other way you can do it. You're just in here already and you're on normal blending mode. So you can go ahead and maybe get a hue saturation adjustment layer, and you can go ahead and clip it, and that's going to clip it to our layer right there. So the way I did that is I just held down the Alt or Option key and just hovered right there, and it made a little clipping layer. So it's only going to affect the layer below it, okay? And if you watch this, I'm going to adjust the saturation of this, and it's just going to affect that area. It's just affecting this layer, okay, when I do that. If you can see, I do it really extreme, just affecting that layer, okay? But I want to desaturate that. So that's one way you can make an adjustment to your normal blending mode layer, and you can just kind of maybe darken it or lighten it or adjust the saturation or anything you want. The other way you can do this is you can go ahead and reopen the image in Adobe Camera Raw, and we want this to kind of match up because the ceiling is what was giving us problems in this particular image, right? And that's one of the things I maybe skipped over. Like maybe brushing the ambient on luminosity through here was all not a problem, okay? But on the ceiling, it was giving me a little problem because of those shadows. So that's why we're focusing in on the ceiling. That's why you might want to use normal blending mode when you're having a problem, okay, with shadows or whatever it might happen to be. But what I'm showing you here is that I want to brush this in on normal blending mode. So I'm in Adobe Camera Raw. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to kind of look at my flash layer, and I'm going to look at my ambient layer, and the first thing I'm noticing is this quite warm. We took care of that the last way using a clipping mask, right? But this time we're going to take care of it by trying to adjust it in the raw editor. And I would really say this is more of a pure way to do it because you're actually adjusting, making this major color shift in the raw editor. So I think that's too cool. So I'm going to go ahead and warm it up a little bit. And you can see I'm just kind of trying to match those up. Of course, the lighting is a little bit different, but I'm trying to match the colors, okay? And I think it's pretty close right there. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up and lay it on top of my flash layer. All right, so I'll get that on top of there. And I'll move this down. We'll just kind of ignore what we were doing before. And I'm going to leave that on normal, and I'm going to mask it. And as you can see, now that I've made that adjustment, is just going to really kind of naturally brush in, because I've already sort of, you know, corrected the color and corrected it. And so it looks more natural now, right? And so if we go ahead, and this is getting confusing with all these layers. So that was the last way we did it. We used a clipping layer to kind of correct it. This time we're using a different adjusted frame from Adobe Camera Raw, okay? So I just brushed that in. It's looking great to me, you know, it looks pretty natural. And what I can do is just duplicate this layer. So I made a new layer, but I'm going to change this one to Luminosity. And I'm going to make that mask black. And now I'm going to brush in those spots that I just feel, I'm going to check it out where they might be. Now I'm just going to brush in those spots that I felt like weren't giving me any trouble, okay? I may have done this a little bit backwards. I would normally do this actual step right here first, and then like brush the ceiling in, and oh, it's giving me problems. And then go back and do the ceiling. But I think you see the point. So now I'm getting that really natural light through here, and I might even want a little bit more over here or something like that. And the ceiling's looking good. The ceiling is still shifting. Maybe shifting is the wrong word, but it's still like giving me a little bit of weird red going on over there. So I might just get another color layer, and I kind of like this color in this area right here. So I would just, you know, brush that in through here, and that might just even things out a little. I would say the first thing you should think of is, oh, maybe I can brush that in on normal blend mode. Okay, that would be the number one thing I'd say to go to if luminosity isn't working. And don't forget the two ways we tackled that. The first way was we just had the frame already in there, and we just used a clipping mask to clip it to that layer, and we just adjusted the saturation. And the other way we did it, which is probably the best way because you're adjusting your pixels in Camera Raw, we went in there and made the adjustment so that it kind of matched up to our flash frame, at least to a certain extent. All right, if you have any questions about that, ask them in the comments in the video below, and I'll try and get back to you. But good luck with that. Just don't forget, it's a really good tool to have in the bag. Normal blending mode as well as luminosity, kind of those two working in conjunction with one another are really, really powerful. You should be able to tackle pretty much anything with those two methods, okay? The normal and the luminosity blending modes. All right, see you guys next time.